Welcome to my channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and like. Thera closed her eyes, waiting for death. The bio-threads on her neck pulsed one last time, ready to dissolve into the ancestral flow of the Xytherans, where she would become a star. Memories of Drenver cut like plasma, black smoke choking the battlefield, the roar of Alliance warships, and the energy blade of Reiner, her comrade, her brother in arms, piercing her bio-armor. Purple blood sprayed, scalding, as she collapsed onto shattered stone. "Betrayal," Reiner whispered, his eyes cold as steel before leaving her among the corpses. She was ready to merge with the cosmos. But the cosmos rejected her. The stench of metal and antiseptic jolted her senses, yanking Thera from darkness. She gasped, chest searing, bio-threads trembling in panic. She lay on a hard cot, coarse fabric scraping her skin. This wasn't an Xytheran outpost, nor the bioforests of home. This was human territory. Her silver eyes flared, scanning the cramped ship cabin, scarred metal walls, a battered control console, flickering dim lights. Through a small viewport, she glimpsed stars in a cosmic city, spiral towers aglow, linked by bridges of red and green light. "Where am I?" she rasped, voice raw, as if the blade still lodged in her throat. She tried to sit, but pain exploded in her chest, forcing a stifled groan. Her hand found crude bandages, damp with dried purple blood. The ill-fitting Terran gray clothes chafed the bio-threads on her shoulders, marks of an Xytheran warrior. Some threads were bandaged, as if someone had tried to preserve them. The threads vibrated, sensing danger. No armor, no blade. She scanned the cabin for weapons, finding only smooth metal and strange devices. Was she a prisoner? Or bait? Heavy footsteps echoed outside the door. Her bio-threads tightened like taut strings, ready to fight despite her body's protests. She forced herself upright, gripping the cot's edge, eyes locked on the entrance. A Terran man stepped through, tall, disheveled blonde hair, piercing blue eyes like knives. His pilot's jacket bore burn marks, a plasma pistol slung loosely at his hip. He stood still, gaze wary but not hostile. "You're awake," he said, voice low, too calm for someone facing an Xytheran warrior. "I'm Ethan Cole. Don't move, your wound's not healed." Theron narrowed her eyes, bio-threads pulsing with menace. "Why would a Terran save me?" she growled, each word sharp as a blade. "Your alliance burned my planet, slaughtered my people. What's your game, pilot?" Ethan crossed his arms, leaning against the doorframe, relaxed but never taking his eyes off her. "I'm not Alliance anymore," he replied evenly. "I saved you because letting you die was wrong. Simple as that." Thera scoffed, masking the pain. "Simple?" She torn through Terran fleets, watched their ships erupt in flames. She was their enemy, not a victim to be saved. Her bio-threads hummed, sensing his heartbeat, steady, but with a flicker of unease. He was hiding something. "You expect me to believe you grew a conscience?" she asked, voice dripping with mockery. "Or did the Alliance pay you to keep me alive, to pry secrets?" Ethan didn't answer immediately. He dragged a metal chair over, sitting a few paces away, hand resting near his pistol but not drawing. "If I wanted secrets, you'd be in an interrogation cell, not my ship," he said, eyes locked on hers. "I found you on Drenver, blood-soaked, abandoned by your own. I brought you here because I know what betrayal feels like." He paused, gaze distant, as if staring at an old scar. Thera fell silent, her chest aching beyond the wound. Betrayal. The word cut deeper than Reiner's blade. She remembered her comrade's cold eyes on Drenver, turning away. But trust a Terran? She was taught they were monsters, destroyers who raised Alara, devourers of her ancestors' light. Her bio-threads hummed, tasting the air, oil mixed with antiseptic, traces of battle. She glanced at the cabin, spotting an Alliance insignia on the wall, slashed with a deep cut. A declaration? "Why did you leave the Alliance?" she asked, voice icy but curious. Ethan's lips twitched, a joyless smile. "I refused to fire on Xytheran civilians," he said. "They called me a traitor, threw me in a cell. I call it holding on to what makes me human." He stood, pointing to the console. When you're strong enough, I'll show you what I took from Drenver. Something the Alliance and Xytherans both want buried. Thera said nothing, watching him leave. Her biothreads quivered, no longer threatening, but chaotic, anger, doubt, and a spark of hope. She didn't know who Ethan Cole was, or what lay on Drenver. But she wasn't ready to die. Not today. Thera stood in the cramped ship cabin, her biothreads trembling faintly, tasting the metallic air. The wound in her chest throbbed, but she forced herself to follow Ethan to the worn control console at the cabin's heart. Dim light flickered from the screen, casting shadows on his face, sharp blue eyes, tousled blonde hair, burn marks on his pilot's jacket telling tales of battles not yet forgotten. His hands moved swiftly, sure, activating a holographic display. An image materialized, a colossal structure, like an artificial sun, encased in spinning energy rings, pulsing with a deep crimson glow, like blood seeping through the void. This is Project Blackstar, Ethan said, voice heavy as stone. The Alliance calls it a defensive weapon, but it's designed to eradicate Xytheran ecosystems. In hours, every planet of your people would be dead rock. No civilians, no warriors, not a single biothread left alive. Thera felt her blood turn to ice. Her biothreads thrummed violently, like strings about to snap, mirroring the horror she fought to suppress. She recognized the symbols on the screen, forbidden biotech, glimpsed in Xytheran labs before they were destroyed. It didn't just kill, it attacked life itself, stripping bioforests, draining atmospheres, turning her home to ash. She pictured Alara, where children's biothreads glimmered under starlight, where ancestors sang in the wind. All would vanish. Why tell me this? She asked, voice rigid, a tremor slipping through clenched teeth. If it's real, why not use it to wipe us out? Ethan met her gaze, unflinching, his blue eyes blazing with resolve laced with pain. Because I need you, he said, pulling a small data chip from his belt, its metallic gleam catching the dim light. I have access codes to the research station on Nova Crucible, where they're building Blackstar. But I don't know how to disable its biocore. Your file says you're an expert in biosabotage, that you took down weapon systems for the Xytheran Empire itself. Thera gave a bitter laugh, hiding the storm in her chest. Expert in sabotage? True, she'd infiltrated Xytheran fortresses, severed biocores of enemy warships, but that was to save her people, not aid a Terran. You expect me to believe a Terran pilot suddenly grew a soul? She growled, biothreads pulsing with menace. Your alliance butchered millions of my kind, called us monsters to justify genocide. Now you want my help? Ethan didn't answer at once. He turned away, fists clenched, gaze lost in blood-soaked memories. 3 months ago, I led a squadron to attack an Xytheran settlement on Lyros, he said, voice hoarse. They said it was a military base, a major threat. But when I landed, I saw children with glowing biothreads, elders begging in biotents. I refused to fire. They threw me in prison, branded me a traitor. He stopped, throat tight. I couldn't be part of that machine anymore. Thera went still, her heart pounding. His words echoed her own pain. Reiner's blade on Drenver, the cold eyes of comrades abandoning her. Betrayal knew no species. But trust a Terran? She was raised to see them as enemies, demons who torched Alara, shadows swallowing her ancestors. Her biothreads hummed, sensing Ethan's pulse, faster now, no longer steady. He was afraid not of her, but of something greater. I need proof, she said, voice cold, but a fragile spark of hope flickered in her eyes. Ethan nodded, as if expecting it. He slotted the chip into the console. The hologram shifted, revealing classified Alliance documents, Blackstar deployment plans, maps of the Nova Crucible research station, and a simulation of an Xytheran planet burning, bioforests reduced to ash, atmospheres collapsing in red fire. Thera gripped the console's edge, biothreads thrumming with rage, seeing Alara's children with their glimmering threads. She spotted the biocore's signature, a demonic formula, powered by Xytheran DNA. Where did they get the samples? She whispered, unaware she'd spoken aloud. The Alliance has a spy network, Ethan replied, voice low. They took samples from fallen warriors on Drenver. Possibly from you. Thera froze, memories of Drenver flashing, purple blood pooling, comrades rifling through her body before leaving her. Was she a tool of Blackstar? Rage surged, but she forced it down, locking eyes with Ethan. If I help you, what's the cost? She asked, voice sharp as a blade. Ethan didn't blink. The cost is my life, and likely yours, he said. The research station is a fortress. Mercenaries, combat AIs, laser grids. But if we don't stop Blackstar, every Xytheran planet burns. And the Alliance won't stop there. Thera turned away, biothreads trembling chaotically. She saw Alara in her mind, bioforests singing, children laughing, ancestors whispering. Ethan was the enemy, but his words carried a truth she couldn't deny. I'll review the chip, she said finally, voice icy. But if you're lying, Terran, I'll tear your threads myself. Ethan's lips twitched, a joyless smile. Try it, he replied, pointing to the door. Rest. Tomorrow we hit Nova Crucible. If you want to save your people, it's your only shot. He left the cabin, leaving Thera with the crimson hologram and the storm in her heart. Her biothreads hummed softly, no longer raging, but resolute. She didn't trust Ethan. But she trusted Alara, and for it, she would fight. Ethan's ship shuddered, engines growling softly as it docked at a cramped port on Nova Crucible. Thera stood by the viewport, biothreads humming faintly, tasting the air thick with oil and metal. Beyond, the cosmic city blazed like a sea of light, spiral towers pulsing with red and green neon, transport ships darting like fish in a chaotic ocean. But beneath the glamour lay the slums, a maze of dark alleys where Xytheran refugees, Terrans, and countless species scraped by, forsaken by the Alliance. Thera pulled her hood low, hiding her biothreads, each step jabbing her chest wound. Keep your head down, Ethan whispered, eyes scanning the crowd, smugglers, Alliance spies, all lurking in the shadows. The alley was damp, littered with refuse, reeking of engine oil and stale smoke. Thera pressed against the wall, biothreads vibrating with alertness, sensing the chaotic heartbeats of the crowd. Ethan led, shoulders hunched, steps swift but silent, like someone who knew every shadowed corner. She glanced at him, burn-scarred pilot's jacket, plasma pistol slung low, eyes sharp as blades. He was more at home here than she'd expected. You come here often? She asked, voice low, laced with suspicion. Ethan's lips twitched, not looking back. Enough to survive, he replied, nodding toward a rundown bar ahead, its metal door etched with a faded Xytheran rebel symbol, faint, but enough to make her biothreads pulse with hope. Wait out here, Thera ordered, eyes cold despite her weakened body. Ethan nodded, slipping into the shadows, hand resting near his pistol. Thera pushed the door open, the stench of cheap liquor and smoke hitting her like a wave. Inside, dim lights cast a haze over scarred wooden tables, a few drunks staggering, and an elderly Xytheran in a shadowed corner. Kale, gray-silver biothreads glimmering, silver eyes sharp as knives. Thera, he said, voice rough as desert wind. We thought you died on Drenver. Nearly, Thera replied, lowering her hood, revealing her shimmering biothreads. The wound throbbed, but she stood tall, eyes locked on Kale. My comrades betrayed me. Reiner stabbed me, left me for dead. But I lived, thanks to a Terran. Kale's eyes narrowed, his biothreads pulsing with anger, hand brushing a hidden bioweapon under his cloak. A Terran? He growled. You've lost your mind, Thera. They're monsters, burning Alara, killing our children. Thera clenched her fists, memories of Drenver flashing, purple blood, Reiner's blade, cold eyes turning away. I don't trust him, she said, voice sharp. But he has a data chip on Project Blackstar, an Alliance weapon that could wipe out every Xytheran planet in hours. If I don't act, Alara burns. Kale shook his head, eyes like blades. Trust a Terran, and you dig your own grave. But if this weapon is real, we can't sit idle, she signaled. Ethan stepped inside, the air tensing like a taut wire. Kale's biothreads thrummed with menace, hand gripping his weapon. "Give me one reason not to shoot you, Terran," he roared. Ethan stood still, blue eyes steady, placing the data chip on the table, its metallic gleam flashing under the dim light. "Because I have what you need to save your people," he said, voice low. "And because I'd rather die than let the Alliance burn another planet." Kale's gaze flicked from Ethan to the chip, biothreads humming with doubt. He slotted the chip into a handheld device, a hologram springing to life, Blackstar plans, maps of the Nova Crucible Research Station, a simulation of Alara's forests turning to ash, its atmosphere dissolving in red fire. Thera gripped the table's edge, biothreads thrumming with rage, picturing Alara's children with their glowing threads. Kale's face darkened, silver eyes blazing. "This is real," he whispered, voice choked. "The Alliance, they want to erase us." Ethan didn't move. "I have access codes to the research station," he said. "But I need Thera to disable the biocore. And I need you to get us in." Kale scoffed, pistol still at his hip. "You think I'd trust an Alliance pilot? After all your kind has done?" Thera cut in, voice icy. "He's not Alliance anymore. He refused to fire on civilians on Lyros, got locked up. I don't trust him, Kale, but I trust this data." She pointed to the hologram, its red glow reflecting on her biothreads. "If I don't stop Blackstar, our people die. Do you want Alara to become Drenver?" Kale fell silent, his biothreads slowing, as if grudgingly accepting. "We have an agent in the research station," he said finally, voice low. "Lara Voss, a Terran. Her family was killed by the Alliance for resisting. She'll get you codes for a side entrance." He glared at Ethan, eyes sharp as blades. "But if you betray us, Terran, I'll tear your threads, and Thera's, if she's fool enough to trust you." Ethan nodded, eyes never leaving Kale. "Try it," he replied, voice even but defiant. Thera glanced at Ethan, her biothreads humming softly, not with anger, but with a new rhythm, doubt yet laced with hope. She remembered Drenver, where comrades turned away, and Lyros, where Ethan refused to kill. This alliance was fragile, forged in the fire of hatred, but it was Alara's only chance. They left the bar, the slum's darkness swallowing them. Thera pulled her hood low, biothreads humming with alertness, sensing unseen eyes in the crowd. Ethan walked beside her, pistol ready, neon red glinting off his scarred jacket. "Do you trust Kale?" he asked, voice low. Thera didn't answer at once, recalling Reiner's eyes on Drenver. "I trust no one," she said, voice cold. "But I trust Alara. And for it I'll go with you, until you betray me." Ethan's lips twitched, a joyless smile. "Fair enough," he replied, quickening his pace into the dark alley. Nova Crucible roared around them, neon lights masking danger, but Theron knew the war had only begun. The alley swallowed their steps, but Thera's biothreads hummed faintly, uneasy, as if sensing invisible eyes in the crowd. She glanced over her shoulder, neon glinting on distant towers, but a faint shadow, black armor, a red flashing scanner, slipped around a corner, vanishing like smoke. "Ethan," she whispered, voice sharp, hand brushing her bioblade. "We're being watched." He stopped, blue eyes scanning the darkness, hand resting near his plasma pistol. "Alliance," he growled, voice low. "Move fast, before they lock your signature." Thera tightened her hood, purple blood heating, biothreads thrumming fiercely. Nova Crucible never slept, and its blades were already drawn. Sirens blared, shredding the ship's cabin, red lights pulsing like spilled blood. Ethan lunged for the control panel, fingers flying across the screen, face taut as a drawn bowstring. "Bioscan!" he shouted, eyes darting over data streams. "The Alliance is tracking Xytheran signatures. Definitely you, Thera." Thera sprang to her feet, chest wound flaring, but her silver eyes burned like steel. Her biothreads thrummed with alertness, sensing the danger closing in. "Move!" "No," she growled, voice hoarse but unwavering. Ethan slammed his fist against the wall, a panel snapping open to reveal an emergency hatch, a maintenance tunnel snaking beneath Nova Crucible. Thera tore off the patient gown, pulling on drab civilian clothes, hood hiding her glimmering biothreads. Ethan shed his pilot's jacket, donning a patched civilian coat, stuffing the data chip, plasma pistol, and medkit into a satchel. His movements were swift, precise, like someone who'd fled a dozen times before. "Not bad for a rebel," he said, a half-smile flickering. Thera shot him a cold glare, biothreads pulsing with menace. "Save the charm for someone who doesn't know how many of my people you've killed, pilot," she snapped, voice sharp as a blade. They slipped into the tunnel, dim emergency lights guiding them through rusted metal pipes. Each step made Thera grit her teeth, pain exploding in her chest, purple blood seeping through bandages. But she didn't falter, warrior's resolve driving her forward. Her biothreads hummed, catching the distant wail of sirens. "Where to?" she asked, voice low, stifling echoes. Ethan scanned ahead, as if expecting an ambush. "Safe house in the slums," he replied. "The Alliance rarely bothers there. I've got contacts." The tunnel was dark, damp, reeking of engine oil. Thera pressed against the wall, biothreads vibrating faintly, sensing vibrations from the city's machinery. Memories of Drenver flashed, smoke, blood, Reiner's blade. Betrayal. She glanced at Ethan, his silhouette dim in the light. Trust him? No. But she needed him, at least until Blackstar was stopped. After nearly an hour, they reached an exit, opening into Nova Crucible's slums. Unlike the Neon Tower's glamour, this was a labyrinth of crumbling shacks, trash-choked streets, and a chaotic crowd, impoverished Terrans, Xytheran refugees, and alien species jostling in despair. Ethan moved deftly, shoulders hunched, eyes avoiding contact, as if he knew every shadowed corner. Thera followed, hood low, each step stabbing her chest. "You know this place better than I thought," she said, voice low, tinged with curiosity. Ethan's lips twitched. "Enough to survive," he replied. "It's not just Xytherans fighting the Alliance. There are Terrans, people who lost everything to them." Thera's biothreads hummed, sensing truth in his words, but suspicion clung like damp air. A loud clang echoed, Alliance patrol, black-armored, floodlights sweeping the crowd, loudspeakers barking for dispersal. Ethan yanked Thera into a shadowed corner behind a derelict shop. Their bodies pressed close, his breath warm against her cheek. Her biothreads quivered, not with threat, but with a strange sensation, fragile, like the light bridges of Nova Crucible. The patrol's beams swept past, Thera tensing, fingers digging into the wall. Ethan whispered, "Sorry," and stepped back, eyes avoiding hers. They pressed on, weaving through alleys, reaching a battered building wedged between a repair shop and a noisy casino. Inside, a small, clean apartment held only a basic console and metal chairs. Thera sank onto one, biothreads humming slowly, eyes probing Ethan. "You planned to ditch the Alliance long ago, didn't you?" she asked, voice cold. Ethan knelt before her, checking her wound, fingers careful but firm, eyes focused. Purple blood stained the bandages. He frowned, reapplying the medkit. "I started questioning when I saw them treat refugees like garbage," he said, voice low. "But I acted when I couldn't stomach it anymore." He paused, gaze distant. "I had a sister, Lena," he said, voice rough. "Worked in an Alliance lab. She uncovered Blackstar, tried to warn me. They killed her, called it an accident." Thera went still, biothreads humming softly, her gaze softening for the first time. She pictured Alara, children glimmering, bioforests singing. Lost knew no species. "I'm sorry," she said, voice barely a whisper. "But why save me, a Xytheran?" Ethan looked at her, blue eyes raw pained. "On Drenver you were half dead but still fighting," he said. "I saw Lena, someone who wouldn't quit. I couldn't let you die." Thera didn't reply, biothreads trembling chaotically. She recalled Reiner's blade, his cold eyes. Ethan was the enemy, but his words touched a scar she didn't want to admit. A spark, maybe hope, flickered in her chest. She stood, despite the pain, eyes locking onto Ethan. "This safe house won't hold long," she said, voice sharp. "The Alliance will find us." What's next? Ethan checked his pistol, lips twitching. Contact Lara Voss, he replied. She has codes to the research station. But after that bioscan, Nova Crucible is a trap. Theron nodded, biothreads thrumming with resolve. She didn't trust Ethan, but Alara was worth the risk. They left the apartment, the slum's darkness swallowing them, neon glow above hiding the dangers lurking below. The safe house was bathed in dim light, the hum of ventilation like the city's breath. Thera sat on a metal chair, gripping the encrypted comm device Ethan had handed her. Her biothreads hummed faintly, tasting the oily air. Kale needs to know we're safe, she said, fingers gliding over the keypad, sending a brief message to the Xytheran rebels. Ethan stood by the console, blue eyes vigilant. Careful, he said, voice low. The Alliance monitors every channel on Nova Crucible. A reply flashed, meet in person, night market, slums. Thera stood, chest wound throbbing, but her eyes burned with determination. They want to confirm I'm not captured, she said, biothreads quivering with unease. Ethan checked his plasma pistol, frowning. Risky. Alliance patrols doubled after the bioscan. Thera locked eyes with him, voice sharp. No choice. If I don't go, they'll think I've betrayed them. Ethan sighed, pulling 2 light armor sets from a locker, one for her, one for him. We go together, he said. But if anything feels off, we pull out. Night fell, and they left the safe house, slipping through twisting alleys, dodging surveillance cameras. The Nova Crucible night market was a riot of light, neon red and green flashing, vendors' shouts mixing with music, the stench of alien food stinging the air. Ship parts, illegal biotech, and black market weapons overflowed stalls. Thera led Ethan through the crowd, hood hiding her biothreads, each step jabbing her chest. Her threads hummed, sensing hidden eyes in the dark. They stopped at a stall veiled by tattered cloth, where Kale and 2 Xytherans waited. Kale, gray-silver biothreads glimmering, silver eyes sharp as blades. Thera, he said, voice rough. You're alive. But why bring a Terran? Thera lowered her hood, biothreads shimmering under neon. He saved me, she replied, voice cold. He has a chip on Project Blackstar, an Alliance weapon that could erase our planets in hours. I need you. She recounted, the chip, the research station, the infiltration plan. Ethan stood still, hand near his pistol, eyes scanning Kale and the others. A woman with fiery red biothreads stepped forward. I'm Cirrus, she growled, eyes blazing. I don't trust Terrans. He's a trap. Thera clenched her fists, memories of Drenver flashing, purple blood, Reiner's blade. I don't trust him either, she said, voice sharp. But the date is real. Blackstar will burn Alara, kill our children. You want to sit idle, Cirrus? Kale exchanged a glance with Cirrus, their biothreads humming with doubt. He slotted Ethan's chip into a device, a hologram flaring, Blackstar plans, research station maps, Alara's forests turning to ash, its sky collapsing in red fire. Cirrus's face darkened, biothreads pulsing with rage. Real, she whispered. They want to erase us. Kale nodded, eyes still fixed on Ethan. Lara Voss, our agent, confirms the station's security has tripled, he said. They know there's a leak, but not who. Voss will give you codes for a side entrance. You have 1 shot. Ethan nodded, voice low. I need Thera to disable the biocore. If we fail, no one survives. An explosion rocked the market, blinding light erupting at its edge, smoke billowing high. Alliance patrol! Ethan shouted, yanking Thera behind a stall. The crowd panicked, plasma bolts tearing through the air. Black-armored Alliance soldiers stormed in, bioscanners flashing red. Thera glimpsed Cirrus drawing an EMP grenade. Don't! Thera hissed, but Cirrus threw it. The small blast fried electronics, market lights plunging into darkness. The soldiers faltered, but one triggered an alarm, sirens wailing. Run! Kale barked, leading his rebels into an opposite alley. Thera and Ethan followed, biothreads trembling chaotically, chest wounds screaming. An Alliance soldier blocked their path, rifle aimed at Thera. She gritted her teeth, hand fumbling for her bioblade, but Ethan tackled the soldier, both crashing in the dust. Thera lunged, blade piercing the soldier's armor, red blood spraying. "Go!" she growled, hauling Ethan up. They wove through alleys, following Kale to a hidden tunnel under a metal grate. Darkness enveloped them, only ragged breaths audible. When safe, Kale wheeled around, silver eyes blazing. "Cirrus was right," he roared. "Bringing a Terran was a mistake, Thera. But I'll give you one chance. Meet Voss at the warehouse in Sector 13, midnight tomorrow. Don't fail." He vanished with his rebels, leaving Thera and Ethan in the dark. Thera panted, biothreads quivering, purple blood seeping through bandages. She glanced at Ethan, neon flickers illuminating bruises on his face. "You almost died for me," she said, voice cold but curious. Ethan wiped blood, lips twitching. "Told you, I won't let you die," he replied, blue eyes raw. Thera turned away, biothreads trembling chaotically. She pictured Alara, singing forests, glimmering children. And Drenver, Reiner's blade. Ethan was the enemy, yet he'd saved her twice. Trust him? No. But she needed him. "This tunnel leads back to the slums," Ethan said, checking his pistol. "Rest an hour, then move. Voss is the key." Thera nodded, eyes sharp. "If you're playing me, Terran, I'll kill you," she said, voice low. Ethan gave a humorless chuckle. "Fair enough," he replied, stepping into the dark. The market roared above, neon hiding dangers, but Thera knew this alliance was fragile, and every step was a gamble. The safe house sank into darkness, faint light from the console glinting off the data chip like a lost star. Thera sat motionless, biothreads humming softly, silver eyes fixed on the chip. The night market lingered in her mind, Cirrus's grenade, Kale's eyes cold as steel. Kale, who taught her to wield a blade, who spoke of Alara's forests, now looked at her like a traitor. Her biothreads thrummed sharply, tasting the metallic air. She glanced at Ethan, checking his armor, shoulders hunched, blue eyes avoiding her. What was he hiding? "What do you know about Lara Voss?" she asked, voice sharp, slicing the silence. Ethan paused, hand tightening on his plasma pistol, gaze flickering. "Not much," he replied, voice low, like treading thin ice. "Research station engineer. Lost her family to the Alliance. Kale says she's reliable." Thera narrowed her eyes, biothreads pulsing with menace, sensing his pulse, fast, uneasy. "You're hiding something, Ethan," she growled, standing despite the stab in her chest, eyes blazing. "I'm not a fool. Since I woke, you've dodged talking about yourself. Lena, your sister, she wasn't just a whistleblower, was she?" Ethan sighed, sitting across from her, blue eyes heavy as stone. "Lena wasn't just a whistleblower," he said, voice rough, like a dull blade. "She designed Blackstar's biocore." Thera froze, biothreads thrumming violently, like strings about to snap. Purple blood surged, memories of Alara flashing, singing bioforests, children with glimmering threads. "Your sister built the thing to kill my people?" she roared, drawing her bioblade, its glowing edge grazing his throat. "And you dare ask me to trust you?" Her wound screamed, but she didn't back down, eyes burning like plasma. Ethan didn't flinch, raising his hands, voice calm but urgent. "Lena didn't know," he said, eyes locked on hers. "They told her it was regenerative tech, to heal war-torn planets. When she learned Blackstar was a weapon, she sabotaged the data. They caught her. I only found out after she was gone." Thera gripped the blade, its edge nicking his skin, eyes blazing. Drenver flashed, Reiner's blade, purple blood, comrades abandoning her. Betrayal. The word cut deeper than steel. "Why didn't you tell me from the start?" she snarled, voice trembling with rage. "Because you'd have killed me," Ethan replied, blue eyes raw, pained, like an exposed scar. "I needed you to finish what Lena started, destroyed Blackstar, so her death wasn't for nothing." Thera lowered the blade, its glow fading, but her eyes remained cold as steel. "Hide anything again, Ethan, and I'll tear your threads," she said, voice low, lethal. He nodded, eyes never leaving hers. Understood. But trust me, at least until the research station. Thera turned away, biothreads trembling chaotically. She sat again, fingers brushing the chip, its metallic gleam flashing under the light. Elara rose in her mind, winds whispering through forests, ancestors singing, children laughing. Ethan wasn't like the Terran she'd killed, those who fired on biotents, torched skies. But Lena, the biocore, was another blade, piercing her fragile trust. She recalled Kale on Drenver, his warm eyes teaching her tactics, and Kale at the market, cold as an enemy. Who was friend? Who was foe? Her biothreads hummed, sensing her pulse, fast, chaotic. When do we meet Voss? She asked, voice cold, eyes fixed on the chip. Ethan checked his pistol, shoulders relaxing, but eyes still wary. Warehouse in Sector 13, midnight tomorrow, he replied. She has codes for a side entrance. But station security's tight, mercenaries, AIs, laser grids. We need a plan. Thera nodded, biothreads thrumming with resolve. What's the plan? She asked, eyes sharp, like the warrior on Drenver, before Reiner's betrayal. Ethan stood, activating the console, a hologram of the research station flickering to life, green lines glowing. Side entrance to equipment shipments, he said, tracing a tunnel. Leads to the data storage, near Blackstar's biocore. But we need Colonel Kane's DNA, the station commander, for the biolock. Thera frowned, biothreads humming with unease. Where's Kane? Ethan pointed to a red zone on the map. Restricted area, guarded by mercenaries, combat AIs. We need a diversion, blow a nearby power station, cause a temporary blackout. Thera nodded, eyes scanning the map, like analyzing a Drenver battlefield. Timing? She asked, voice low. 20 minutes, Ethan replied. From blackout to backup systems kicking in. Delay means death. Thera fell silent, biothreads humming slowly, as if accepting. She pictured Elara, its glimmering children, singing forests. Ethan was the enemy, but her only chance. Rest, she said, eyes locked on the hologram. Tomorrow's a gamble. Ethan retreated to a corner, checking his armor, but his eyes stayed on her. Thera gripped her blade, biothreads humming, tasting the air, oil, metal, and secrets. She recalled Drenver, purple blood pooling, Reiner rifling through her before leaving. Who let her live? The Alliance? The rebels? Or Ethan? Her biothreads thrummed sharply, like a storm's warning. She didn't trust him, but Elara was worth the risk. The safe house was silent, but tension hung like before a battle. Thera clutched the chip, its gleam a reminder. Every secret was a blade, waiting to strike. The warehouse in Sector 13 stood like a rusted monolith amidst Nova Crucible's derelict industrial sprawl, its walls stained with corrosion, the air heavy with the stench of burnt oil and metal. Neon glows from distant towers flickered faintly, barely illuminating piles of scrap stacked high like graves. Thera, clad in light armor, hood concealing her shimmering biothreads, felt a tremor of unease. Danger lurked, its source unclear. Her biothreads hummed softly, like taut strings before a storm. Ethan, plasma pistol at his hip, signaled her to take cover behind a large, rusted crate, its jagged edges scraping her skin. Lara Voss is coming alone, he whispered, blue eyes scanning the darkness. If anything's off, we pull out. They waited, wind whistling through cracks, cold as a blade. Thera gripped her bioblade, its faint glow pulsing in the shadows, her chest wound stabbing with each breath. Her biothreads thrummed, sensing Ethan's heartbeat, fast, tense. She remembered Lena, Blackstar's biocore, the secret Ethan hid like a buried knife. Trust him? No. But Elara, its singing forests, children glimmering with biothreads, was worth the risk. A shadow moved, a small Terran woman, black hair tied tight, clad in a snug Alliance technician's uniform. Lara Voss. She paused, sharp eyes scanning the scrap piles, then called softly. Thera? Ethan? Thera stepped forward, biothreads vibrating with caution, silver eyes cold as steel. Your Voss? she growled, hand near her blade. Kale said you have access codes? Lara nodded, pulling a metallic card from her pocket, its surface glinting under the neon like a signal flare. These codes open the research station's side entrance, she said, voice steady, though her eyes darted briefly. Security's tripled since the leak. You'll need a plan. Ethan snatched the card, inspecting it, his gaze probing. Where does this lead? He asked, voice low. Data storage sector, Lara replied, gesturing as if tracing a path. Close to Blackstar's biocore. But Colonel Marcus Kane, the station commander, set a biolock. Only his DNA will open it. Thera frowned, biothreads pulsing with anger, memories of Alara flashing, forests burning in Blackstar's simulation. Where's Kane? She asked, voice sharp. Lara hesitated, eyes flicking to Ethan. Restricted zone, she answered. Mercenaries, combat AIs, laser grids. You'll need a major assault to get in. Thera opened her mouth, but an explosion rocked the warehouse, flames erupting from the entrance, thick smoke billowing upward. Black-armored mercenaries charged in, plasma rifles flashing, led by Xytheran, Cirrus, her fiery red biothreads blazing like blood. Thera! Cirrus roared, energy blade glowing, eyes aflame. Traitor! You led a Terran to sell out the rebels! Thera froze, drawing her bioblade, its radiant edge clashing with the neon glow. I didn't betray you! She bellowed, biothreads thrumming fiercely. Ethan aimed his pistol at Cirrus, blue eyes cold. Lara dove behind a crate, shouting. They followed me! I didn't know! Chaos erupted. Plasma bolts tore through the darkness, slamming into scrap, sparking wildly. Thera and Ethan took cover behind a crate, bolts whistling past, metal splintering. Cirrus charged, energy blades slashing, aiming for Thera. You're working for the Alliance! She screamed, her blade grazing Thera's shoulder, purple blood spraying. Thera parried, blades clashing in a shower of sparks, biothreads pulsing with rage. You're mad, Cirrus! She shouted, shoving back. I was betrayed, just like you're betraying me now. Ethan fired, dropping 2 mercenaries, their bodies thudding in the dust. But the enemy was overwhelming, black armor flooding like a tide. Thera kicked Cirrus back, retreating behind scrap, purple blood soaking her armor. Lara tossed a smoke grenade, thick fog enveloping them, choking the air. Run! She yelled, sprinting toward a side exit. Thera and Ethan followed, boots slipping on rusted floors, the sound of pursuit echoing behind. The dark alley swallowed them, trash ankle-deep, the stench of oil stinging their lungs. Thera panted, biothreads trembling chaotically, pain flaring in her chest. Who's Cirrus working for? Thera shouted, eyes blazing, locking onto Lara. Voss, face pale, shook her head. I don't know, she replied, voice trembling. But if she thinks you're a spy, the rebels will hunt you. Get to the station now, before they find the safe house. Thera turned to Ethan, biothreads humming with suspicion, purple blood dripping to the ground. You knew about this, didn't you? Ethan shook his head, but his eyes wavered, like hiding a blade. I swear I didn't, he said, voice low. But Cirrus, she might be right about Drenver. Someone let you live. Not the Alliance. Thera stopped, memories of Drenver flashing, purple blood pooling, Reiner rifling through her, his cold eyes before abandoning her. Her biothreads thrummed, anger laced with fear. Was she bait? Who was behind it? Kale? Cirrus? Or Ethan? She gripped her blade, eyes sharp. If you're hiding something, Terran, I'll kill you! She growled, voice low, lethal. Ethan nodded, blue eyes sincere but tense. Understood, he replied. But we need Voss and the codes. Let's move. The alley led deeper into the slums, the sound of mercenaries fading. Thera scanned the shadows, biothreads humming, sensing spy eyes in the dark. She pictured Alara, winds through forests, children laughing. Blackstar would burn it all. Ethan led, pistol ready, shoulders hunched as if shielding her. Lara trailed, the code card glinting in her hand. Thera gripped her blade, purple blood drying on her armor, neon flickering faintly. "The safe house isn't safe anymore," she said, voice cold. "Cirrus knows it." "Plan?" Ethan scanned the alley, eyes sharp. "Find the Terran resistance," he replied. "Voss says they're in Sector 9? We need them to hit the station." Thera nodded, biothreads thrumming with resolve. Alara was why she fought, though this alliance was a blade at her throat. The darkness swallowed them, Nova Crucible roaring, and Thera knew a trap awaited. The twisting alley led through the slum's maze, mercenary patrols echoing like hounds on the hunt. Thera panted, purple blood staining her armor, biothreads humming weakly, but her eyes were sharp as blades. "Where's Sector 9? She growled, voice hoarse, gripping her bioblade. Ethan paused, checking a comm device, its green glow faint in the dark. "Ship repair yard, near the smelting plant," he replied, voice low, eyes scanning the alley. "The Terrans have an abandoned warehouse there, a temporary hideout, according to Lara." Lara nodded, face pale, code card trembling in her hand. "They'll help," she whispered. "But we need to hurry, before Cirrus finds us." Thera glanced at Ethan, biothreads humming with suspicion, memories of Drenver flashing, blood, Reiner's blade. She trusted no one, but Alara was worth the race. They plunged into the darkness, the stench of burnt oil choking, the Sector 9 warehouse a dim star, both hope and trap. The abandoned warehouse crouched in a shadowed corner of Nova Crucible slums, its rusted walls cracked, the faint glow of an old furnace casting warped shadows across the faces of Thera, Ethan, and Lara. Thera twirled Lara's code card in her hand, its metallic gleam flickering, her biothreads humming with caution. The clash with Cirrus in Sector 13, her energy blade, her accusations, still clawed at her mind. She locked eyes with Lara, silver gaze sharp as a blade. "Hiding anything, Voss?" she growled, voice cold, lethal. "If you are, you won't leave this place." Lara swallowed hard, green eyes trembling but unyielding. "I'm telling the truth," she replied, voice steady despite her clenched hands. "The Alliance killed my family for opposing Blackstar. I won't betray you." Thera narrowed her eyes, biothreads humming softly, sensing Lara's heartbeat, fast, but even. She remembered Drenver, Reiner's blade, purple blood, and Cirrus, eyes ablaze. Betrayal was the breath of Nova Crucible. She tossed the card onto the table, its metallic clink echoing faintly. Ethan activated the console, a holographic map of the research station flickering to life, green lines illuminating his tense, sharp features. "The side entrance leads to the data storage sector," he said, tracing a glowing tunnel. "Close to Blackstar's biocore. But we need Colonel Marcus Kane's DNA for the biolock. Restricted zone, mercenaries, combat AIs, laser grids. We need a plan and more hands." Thera frowned, biothreads pulsing with anger, memories of Alara flashing, forests burning in Blackstar's simulation. "Kale won't help," she growled. "The rebels think I'm a traitor after Cirrus." Lara cut in, voice low, as if afraid the shadows might hear. "I know a group, Terran Resistance, worked with me before. Small, but skilled, hacker, explosives expert, ex-Alliance soldier. In Sector 9, hiding behind the ship repair yard." Ethan nodded, eyes flicking to Thera. "What do you think?" he asked, voice low, sincere. "After the night market, Sector 13, I get it if you trust no one." Thera fell silent, biothreads humming softly, like strings before a gale. Drenver flashed, Reiner abandoning her, purple blood pooling. Cirrus screaming betrayal. Kale, her mentor, now an enemy. But Ethan, the man who saved her on the battlefield, blue eyes never leaving her, was a light in the dark. "I'm in," she said, voice cold as steel. "But if Voss's group betrays us, I'll tear their threads." They planned, the air heavy as lead. Lara would contact the Terran Resistance. Thera and Ethan prepared for the infiltration. The side entrance opened through periodic equipment shipments, concealed in cargo crates. But they needed a diversion. The Terran group would hit a power station near the research station, causing a temporary blackout. Thera and Ethan would slip in, steal Kane's DNA, and disable Blackstar's biocore. Ethan traced the map's green lines, fingers steady. "Timing is everything," he said, voice sharp. 20 minutes from blackout to backup systems kicking in. Delay means death. Thera nodded, eyes scanning the map, like a warrior on Drenver analyzing a battlefield. "Where's Kane?" she asked, biothreads humming with unease. Ethan pointed to a red zone, restricted, pulsing with laser grids. "Lives in his own fortress," he replied. "Constant guards, AI bioscanners. We need precision," Lara added, voice soft. "The power station's 3 blocks away. Hit it, and the guards will scramble to check." Thera gripped her blade, silver eyes glinting in the dark. "If your group's slow, Voss, we die," she growled. Lara nodded, green eyes resolute. "They won't be," she replied. The plan set, Lara left the warehouse, her shadow vanishing into the dark alley. Thera and Ethan remained, the furnace crackling, casting long shadows. "You sure about her?" Thera asked, biothreads humming with suspicion, eyes locking onto Ethan. He sighed, checking his plasma pistol, shoulders hunched. "Not sure," he replied, voice low. "But I'm sure about you. You're why I'm doing this, Thera." His words hit like a plasma bolt, piercing her core. Her biothreads thrummed, not with anger, but with a strange, nameless feeling. She pictured Alara, winds through forests, children laughing, ancestors singing. Ethan was the enemy, yet he saved her, trusted her, even when she didn't trust him. She opened her mouth, but a sound echoed outside, heavy footsteps, a familiar growl. "Thera!" "Kale!" Her biothreads thrummed fiercely, a warning like before the Battle of Drenver. "Come out, or I'll tear this place apart." Ethan drew his pistol, blue eyes sharp, locking onto Thera. "He's not friendly," he whispered, body pressed against the wall. Thera gripped her blade, eyes blazing, memories of Kale flashing. The mentor who taught her tactics spoke of Alara, now hunting her. "He thinks I betrayed him," she growled, voice trembling with rage. "Get ready to run." The warehouse shook, metal clanging, like the mercenaries in Sector 13. Kale wasn't alone. Thera scanned the room, biothreads humming, sensing her own heartbeat, fast, chaotic. Alara was worth fighting for, but every step was a blade, and Kale was the sharpest. Thera and Ethan darted to the window, the slum's darkness swallowing the neon glow. Outside the warehouse, Kale stood towering, his gray-silver biothreads glinting, for Xytherans flanking him, bioweapons shimmering like dying stars. "Thera!" Kale roared, voice seething, sharp as a blade cutting metal. "Cirrus was right, you're working for the Alliance. Come out, or we burn this place." Thera gripped her bioblade, its faint glow pulsing in the shadows, eyes ablaze. "He's lost it," she whispered, biothreads thrumming fiercely, like a storm's warning. "He thinks I betrayed him because of you." Ethan checked his plasma pistol, blue eyes cold as steel. "We can't fight here," he replied, voice low. "Basement side exit, run." A biogrenade crashed through the window, exploding in a cloud of toxic gas, thick as death's breath. Thera choked, biothreads trembling chaotically, the poison attacking her biosystem, burning her purple blood. Her eyes stung, legs buckled, chest wound screaming. Ethan yanked her to the basement, slamming the door shut, metal screeching. Gas seeped through cracks, slithering like snakes. "Hold your breath," he shouted, smashing a panel to reveal a narrow tunnel, its rusted walls scraping their skin. They crawled through, air stifling, poison searing their lungs. Thera gritted her teeth, biothreads dimming, each movement a knife in her chest. The alley beyond the tunnel was pitch black, trash ankle-deep, the stench of oil choking. Thera panted, biothreads humming weakly, purple blood soaking her armor. "Kale," she whispered, eyes pained, as if torn apart. "He taught me to fight," spoke of Alara. "Why is he doing this?" Ethan steadied her, blue eyes worried, hands gripping her shoulders. "I don't know," he replied, voice low. "But we can't go back. Meet Lara's group, Hit the research station before the rebels or Alliance find us. Theron nodded, biothreads thrumming with resolve, though the poison made her head spin. They slipped through the slums, dodging patrols, the eyes of refugees sharp as blades. Sector 9 emerged, an old ship repair yard, walls stained with oil, the smell of molten metal thick. Lara waited beside 3 Terrans, Jackson, a red-haired hacker, fingers dancing over a hacking device, Mira, an explosives expert, eyes cold as ice, Cole, an ex-soldier, scars crisscrossing his face, shoulders hunched with old wars. Voss says you need help, Jackson said, voice skeptical, eyes scanning Thera. But the rebels are hunting you. I don't want to die for a mistake. Thera stepped forward, biothreads glinting despite their weakness, silver eyes sharp. You don't have to trust me, she growled, voice hoarse from poison. Blackstar won't just kill my people, every planet outside the Alliance will burn. Want to live under their boot forever? Mira smirked, eyes sparking with interest. This Xytheran's got guts, she said. I'm in. Cole nodded, hand near his pistol, gaze steady. Jackson hesitated, fingers pausing on his device. Show me the data, he said, voice hard. Ethan handed over the chip, its metallic gleam flashing in the dark. Jackson hacked in, a hologram flaring, Blackstar, a simulation of Alara burning, bioforests turning to ash, skies collapsing in red fire. Damn, Jackson whispered, eyes wide. It restructures ecosystems. The Alliance controls it, no one's safe. The group nodded, eyes hardening, like soldiers before a battlefield. They prepared to leave the yard, but an alarm blared from Jackson's device, flashing red. Damn it! He shouted, fingers flying across the screen. Voss's codes were activated, from inside the research station. Thera spun to Lara, bioblade at her throat, its glowing edge grazing skin. You betrayed us? She roared, biothreads thrumming with rage, purple blood heating. Lara shook her head, face pale, green eyes panicked. No! I swear! Someone hacked my codes! Ethan pulled Thera back, hand gripping her wrist, eyes tense. It's not her, he said, voice sharp. Someone knows the plan, waiting in the station. Thera lowered her blade, eyes blazing, biothreads trembling chaotically. Drenver flashed, Reiner rifling through her, cold eyes, leaving her in blood. Cirrus screaming betrayal. Kale, her mentor, hurling a grenade. Now hacked codes. Who was behind it? She scanned the group, Jackson frowning, Mira clenching fists, Cole silent, Lara trembling. Who knew the codes? She growled, voice low, like a predator. Lara swallowed hard. Just me and Kale, she replied, voice shaking. I gave him the codes before the night market. Thera gripped her blade, memories of Kale flashing, warm eyes on Alara, cold at the market. Had he betrayed her? Or been deceived? We go, Thera said, eyes sharp, biothreads thrumming with resolve. If it's a trap, I'll tear the traitor apart. Ethan nodded, pistol ready, eyes never leaving her. Sector 9's not safe anymore, he said. Move, find a hideout, make a new plan. Mira checked her grenades, voice cold. Rebels or Alliance, I'll blow them to hell. Jackson folded his device, eyes worried. Hacked codes mean tighter station security, he said. We need a backup plan. Cole nodded, voice low. I know tunnels near the station. We can use them. The group left the yard, the slum's darkness swallowing them, patrol sounds echoing in the distance. Thera gripped her blade, purple blood dried on her armor, biothreads humming, sensing spy eyes in the shadows. She pictured Alara, forests, children, singing winds. Blackstar was a blade over them all. Ethan walked beside her, shoulders hunched, as if shielding her. Lara trailed, code card glinting, eyes nervous. Thera scanned the alley, neon flickering faintly, a reminder of danger. Kale, Cirrus, hacked codes, each step was a blade, but Alara was worth fighting for, though this alliance was fire on ice. The Alliance research station lay buried deep within Nova Crucible's core, a cold metal fortress ringed by spiraling towers that shimmered with menace. Laser grids glowed red, combat AIs prowled silently, and mercenaries patrolled without pause. Thera, Ethan, Lara, and the Terran resistance team, Jackson, Mira, and Cole, hid inside a massive cargo crate, disguised among equipment shipments. Jackson, red hair disheveled, tapped his hacking device, eyes glued to the screen, looping camera feeds to mask their presence. Mira, eyes icy, checked her grenades, explosives primed for the diversion. Thera, in snug light armor, biothreads humming with caution, gripped her bioblade, chest wound throbbing, the poison from Sector 9 still burning her purple blood. She glanced at Ethan, plasma pistol at his hip. "If this is a trap," she whispered, voice sharp, "I won't die alone." Ethan nodded, blue eyes resolute, like tempered steel. "In together, out together, Thera." The cargo glided through checkpoints, Lara's codes, despite being hacked earlier, still unlocking the gates. But the old alarm made Thera grit her teeth, biothreads thrumming with unease. Past 2 stations, they reached the data storage sector, a frigid space where servers hummed like a machine's breath. Mira triggered the explosives at a nearby power station. A distant boom echoed, lights died, darkness swallowing all. Thera led, biosenses scanning the corridors, biothreads guiding through the metal maze. Ethan plugged the chip into a server, green light flaring, Blackstar's data flowing like blood. "Done," he said, yanking the chip, voice low. "Now we need Kane's DNA." They left the storage sector, but lights snapped on, too soon, like a blade slicing their plan. Mercenaries flooded in, black armor glinting, plasma rifles blazing. Colonel Marcus Kane led them, tall, face cold as stone, steel eyes razor sharp. Beside him stood a Xytheran, Kale, gray-silver biothreads glinting, gaze dripping with contempt, piercing Thera's purple blood. "Thera," Kale said, voice icy, each word a dagger. "You've gone too far. The Alliance knows everything, because I told them." Thera froze, biothreads thrumming violently, like strings about to snap. "You!" she roared, bioblade flaring, eyes ablaze. "You betrayed the rebels? Why?" Kale smirked, biothread shimmering, but cold. "The rebels are weak," he replied. "They can't beat the Alliance. I made a deal. Blackstar spares loyal Xytherans, and I lead them. You should have died on Drenver, but you're too stubborn." Ethan stepped forward, pistol aimed at Kane, voice sharp. "You're wrong, Kale. Blackstar spares no one, it'll kill every Xytheran, including you." Kane laughed, a metallic clang, drawing a small, glinting device, like a code card. "You think I need my DNA to open the core?" he asked, eyes flashing malice, pointing at Thera. "No, pilot. I need hers. The biocore was designed with your DNA, Thera, harvested on Drenver, when you were betrayed. You're the key to activating Blackstar." Thera's purple blood ran cold, biothreads trembling chaotically, as if torn apart. Drenver, blood, Reiner's blade, Kale's eyes. She wasn't a victim. She was a weapon. Memories of Alara flashed, singing forests, laughing children, now ash in her mind. Mercenaries attacked, plasma bolts tearing the air. Jackson hacked the laser grid, its red glow dimming, but not enough. Mira threw a grenade, smoke billowing, obscuring sight. Thera charged Kale, bioblades clashing, sparks flying, biothreads humming a deadly symphony. "You sold Alara!" she screamed, her blade grazing Kale's shoulder, purple blood spraying. "You sold our children!" Kale parried, bioblade blazing, silver eyes cold. "Better to live under the Alliance than die for nothing," he growled, shoving her back. Ethan and Cole fired, dropping 3 mercenaries, bodies thudding in the smoke. Kane retreated, device glinting, his shadow vanishing down a corridor. Lara sprinted to a console, fingers flying through codes, green eyes tense. "I'm locking the core!" she shouted, but a plasma bolt pierced her chest, red blood pooling on the floor. Lara fell, hands still on the console, blood bubbling from her mouth. "Run!" she gasped. "I locked it, but not for long!" Thera roared, blade piercing Kale's armor, purple blood flowing. But she didn't kill him, she left him alive, kneeling in his blood, to face his people. "You're not worth my blade," she growled, eyes sharp. The group fled through a side tunnel, Jackson dragging Lara's body, red blood trailing. Mira tossed a grenade behind, the explosion sealing the pursuers. Ethan clutched the chip, its metallic gleam flashing, blue eyes locking onto Thera. "You okay?" he asked, voice low, hand on her shoulder. Thera shoved him off, biothreads thrumming with rage, eyes blazing. "I'm the key," she growled, voice trembling, as if breaking. "I'm their weapon." Ethan gripped her shoulder, eyes unwavering. "You're Thera," he said. "Not a tool. We'll destroy Blackstar, for Alara, for Lena." The tunnel led to the slums, air thick with trash, patrol sounds distant. Thera gripped her blade, biothreads humming, purple blood heating. Kane escaped with the activation device. Kale betrayed them, but lived, to face the rebels. Lara died, locking the core, but only temporarily. Jackson panted, Lara's body over his shoulder. "They knew we were coming," he said, voice hoarse. "Hacked codes, Kale. It was a trap from the start." Mira checked her grenades, eyes cold. "Kane has the device," she said. "He'll try again." Cole nodded, voice low. "We find him first." Thera scanned the group, eyes sharp, biothreads thrumming with resolve. Alara, forests, children, singing winds, was the fire in her. She remembered Drenver, purple blood, Reiner's blade. Kale, Cirrus, Kane, betrayals piled high, but she stood unbroken. "We don't stop," she growled, voice like steel. "Find Kane, destroy Blackstar, even if we tear Nova Crucible apart." Ethan nodded, pistol ready, blue eyes fixed on her. The group plunged into the darkness, neon flickering faintly, a reminder, each step was a blade, but Alara was worth the blood. The old transport ship hid at Nova Crucible's edge, rusted metal creaking in the dusty wind, air heavy with oil and loss. Thera sat in the dim cabin, the data chip glinting in her hand, its metallic sheen like a stabbing knife. Her biothreads, dulled and faintly humming, mirrored her shattered heart. She was Blackstar's key, not a warrior, but an alliance tool, forged from purple blood on Drenver. Kale's betrayal, her own body's betrayal, and Alara, singing forests, glimmering children, hung like a burning dream. Ethan sat beside her, blue eyes worried, shoulders hunched as if shielding her. "We have the data," he said, voice low, steady as steel. "Expose Blackstar to the Galactic Council, force the Alliance to stop." Thera shook her head, biothreads thrumming with rage, eyes sharp. "Kane has the activation device," she growled, fingers gripping the chip, nails scraping metal. "If he uses my DNA, Blackstar will burn Alara before the Council moves." Jackson, red hair tangled, cut in from the cabin's corner, fingers dancing over his hacking device, green light illuminating his face. "I found Kane," he said, voice hoarse. "Secret base on Clyro's satellite, 3 days' flight. He's prepping Blackstar for a test on a small Xytheran planet." Mira clenched her fists, icy eyes blazing. "We stop him," she growled. "For Lara." Cole nodded, scars taut under the dim light, hand near his pistol. Thera stood, armor creaking, eyes like plasma. "I'm going," she said, voice low, lethal. "But this time, I go alone. If I'm the key, I'll destroy the biocore, even if it costs my blood." Ethan grabbed her hand, warm and firm, blue eyes unwavering. "No, Thera," he replied, voice resolute, cutting through the dark. "We do this together. You're not alone." Thera wanted to pull away, but her biothreads thrummed, not with rage, but with a strange spark, like Alara's winds. She remembered Drenver, purple blood, Reiner's blade, and Kale, her mentor, selling his people. Ethan saved her, trusted her, when she trusted no one. She nodded, eyes sharp. "In together, out together," she said, echoing his words. The group planned, tension thick as taut strings. Jackson would hack Clyro's security grid, opening a path. Mira and Cole would create a diversion with explosives, drawing combat AIs. Thera and Ethan would face Kane, destroy the core, and broadcast the data to the Council. The ship launched, shuddering, engines roaring. Thera gazed out the window, stars glinting like Xytheran ancestors, singing in Alara's winds. "If I die," she said softly, to Ethan alone, voice trembling, "make sure my people know I fought." He clasped her hand, fingers entwined, blue eyes sincere. "You won't die, Thera," he replied. "We'll live, and change this galaxy." 3 days later, Clyros loomed, a misty satellite, its metal fortress glinting, red laser grids blazing. Jackson hacked the security, screens flashing green, the entrance opening. The group infiltrated, armor creaking, weapons ready, but a swarm of combat AIs emerged, red eyes scanning the dark. Mira threw grenades, explosions rocking the ground, coal firing, plasma bolts tearing metal. "Hold them!" Mira roared, staying with Cole, smoke billowing. Thera and Ethan sprinted to the central chamber, corridors frigid, machines humming like a monster's heart. Kane stood before Blackstar's biocore, activation device glinting, its metallic sheen like a blade. The core glowed, biocircuits pulsing, as if calling Thera's purple blood. "You're just in time," Kane said, smiling coldly, steel eyes flashing malice. "Watch your people burn, Thera." Ethan fired, plasma bolts ripping the air, the device falling, clattering across the floor. Thera charged, bioblade clashing with Kane's energy sword, sparks flying, biothreads humming a deadly symphony. "You used me!" she screamed, her blade grazing Kane's armor, red blood spraying. Ethan dashed to a console, plugging in the chip, Blackstar's data streaming to the Council's network, green light flaring. Kane, blood staining his armor, laughed, voice echoing like metal. "Stopping me is pointless," he roared. "Blackstar's just the start. The Alliance has dozens of projects, you can't stop them." Thera roared, plunging her blade into the biocore, its glowing edge piercing circuits, light exploding like a supernova. The core shattered, metal fragments flying, but Kane drew a backup device, fingers flying. "Base self-destruct!" he shouted, eyes wild. The floor shook, walls cracked, explosions echoing. "Run!" Ethan yelled, pulling Thera, chip in hand. They sprinted through corridors, fire roaring behind, smoke burning their lungs. Mira and Cole waited at a rescue ship, engines roaring. "Get in!" Cole shouted, firing at pursuing AIs. Thera leaped aboard, Ethan following, the ship soaring as the base erupted, blinding light like a sun. Clyros's mist swallowed the wreckage, and Thera panted, biothreads trembling, purple blood soaking her armor. Ethan checked the chip, its gleam flashing. "Data sent," he said, voice hoarse. "The Council got it, Blackstar's exposed." Jackson, face pale, tapped his device. "The Alliance is in chaos," he said. "The Council's called an emergency session, demanding a halt to secret projects. They're negotiating with the Xytherans." Mira clenched her fists, eyes red. "Lara didn't die for nothing," she said, voice trembling. Cole nodded, scars taut, gaze steady. Thera looked out the window, stars glinting, like ancestors singing. She pictured Alara, forests, children, winds. She was the key, but destroyed the core, saving her people. Kane, the Alliance, betrayals piled high, but she stood tall. "You were right," she said softly, eyes locking onto Ethan. "We lived." He clasped her hand, fingers warm, blue eyes bright. "And we'll change the galaxy," he replied, voice steady. The ship soared through the stars, Nova Crucible fading, but Thera knew Blackstar was stopped, but the Alliance wasn't broken. She gripped her blade, biothreads humming, silver eyes glinting. Alara was safe, but the war wasn't over. Each star was a reminder, purple blood, blades, and the fire in her, ready to blaze. The observation deck of the ship Aurora opened to the cosmos, stars twinkling like the biothreads of Xytheran ancestors. Thera stood by the railing, artificial wind brushing her light armor, biothreads shimmering, no longer dulled. Below, Alara gleamed, bioforests vibrant green, life pulses humming, reborn from war's ashes. A month ago, she was Blackstar's key, her body a blade of betrayal. Now she was a warrior of peace, purple blood flowing for Alara, for children glimmering in the forests. She clenched her fist, silver eyes flashing, memories of Drenver, blood, Reiner's blade, still sharp, but no longer piercing. Ethan approached, his ambassador's uniform snug, a glinting Alliance Xytheran insignia on his chest. His blue eyes shone, not with Nova Crucible's tension, but with hope, like a newborn star. "The Council approved the reconstruction package," he said, voice low, warm. "Alara will be a symbol of peace, forests, schools, children safe." Theron nodded, biothreads humming softly, resonating with the forests below. "Cirrus and Kale are facing trial," she replied, voice steady, but laced with pain. "My people will decide. They sold Alara, they'll pay." She remembered Kale, her mentor, warm eyes on Drenver, and Kale on Clyros, cold, gray biothreads betraying all. Ethan stood beside her, shoulder brushing hers, warmth seeping through her armor. "And you, Thera?" he asked, voice soft, like Alara's winds. "The galaxy doesn't need us to fight anymore. What will you do?" Thera gazed at the stars, each a whisper of ancestors, of children she saved. Nova Crucible, Night Market, warehouses, Cain's blade, forged her from warrior to sower of hope. She turned to Ethan, silver eyes softening, no longer sharp as blades. "I thought Drenver was my end," she said, voice trembling faintly. "But you gave me a reason to live. Now I want to build forests, homes, a future." Ethan smiled, a glow like Nova Crucible's neon, but warm, not cold. He clasped her hand, fingers entwined, like on Clyros, fire roaring behind. "I think we'll find new battles," he replied, blue eyes twinkling. "But this time, for peace, schools, bridges, not guns and blades." Thera smiled, feeling light for the first time, like Alara's forest winds. Her biothreads thrummed, not with warning, but singing, harmonizing with ancestors. "Together?" she asked, voice soft, eyes locked on his. "Together," Ethan replied, voice firm, like a vow. He squeezed her hand, warmth banishing Nova Crucible's shadows. The aurora glided through the stars, engines humming like the galaxy's heartbeat. Thera gazed at Alara, bioforests shimmering, children running under canopies, biothreads bright as hers once were. She remembered Lara, red blood on Clyros, and Lena, Ethan's lost sister, both sacrificed to stop Blackstar. The Galactic Council, after their data, forced the Alliance to negotiate, paving peace. But Theron knew, darkness lingered, in the Alliance's heart, in projects Cain hinted at. She gripped her bioblade, its faint glow sheathed, ready if the galaxy called. "The Xytheran warrior and the Terran pilot," she said, voice laced with irony, like their first meeting, blade at his throat. "Who'd think we'd become symbols?" Ethan chuckled, shoulder brushing hers. "Who'd think we'd survive?" he replied, eyes sparkling. Thera looked to the stars, each a reminder, purple blood, blades, and the fire she carried. Alara was safe, but the galaxy was vast, and darkness never slept. She squeezed Ethan's hand, biothread shimmering, silver blending with his blue. The aurora soared into the cosmos, and Theron knew, though darkness waited, the light of human and Xytheran, of her and Ethan, would lead the way.